Imagine a time when a single law, designed to save society, instead unleashed a wave of chaos, corruption, and violence. What was supposed to be a moral victory turned into a national nightmare, giving birth to criminal empires that still fascinate us today. This is the shocking story of how Prohibition, meant to cleanse the nation, backfired in ways no one could have predicted, leading to the rise of organized crime in America. Stick with us, because what you're about to learn will forever change the way you view this dark chapter in history. Welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most jaw-dropping and unexpected turns in American history. Prohibition. The 18th Amendment, passed in 1919, was supposed to usher in a new era of sobriety and moral integrity by banning alcohol. But instead of purging the country of its vices, Prohibition did the exact opposite. It poured gasoline on the fire, sparking an explosion of crime and corruption that shook the nation to its core. But why did this happen? Why did a law that seemed like a no-brainer at the time become one of the most colossal failures in American history? And how did it pave the way for the rise of notorious gangsters like Al Capone? Stay with us, because in the next few minutes, we'll unravel the gripping tale of how good intentions went wrong, turning America's cities into battlegrounds and its back alleys into gold mines for the criminal underworld. Let's rewind to the early 19th century when the seeds of Prohibition were first planted. The temperance movement, driven by a powerful mix of religious fervor and social reform, saw alcohol as the root of all evil, responsible for poverty, crime, and the breakdown of families. The movement gained steam, and by the early 20th century, it had become a full-blown crusade. The result? The 18th Amendment and the Volstead Act together banned the sale, production, and transportation of alcohol across the United States. But here's where things get interesting. Instead of drying up America's thirst for alcohol, Prohibition did the exact opposite. The desire for a drink didn't just vanish, it went underground, and so did the entire liquor industry. Speakeasies, bootleggers, and moonshiners stepped in to fill the void, and business was booming. What was once a legal, regulated industry was now controlled by the shadows, where the rule of law held no sway, and this is where organized crime saw its golden opportunity. Criminal syndicates, already familiar with the ways of the underground, quickly took control of the illegal alcohol market. They smuggled booze across borders, distilled it in hidden stills, and sold it in secret bars that popped up in every city. These weren't just small-time operations. They were highly organized, well-funded enterprises run by men who would become some of the most infamous figures in American history. Take Al Capone, for example. A name that still echoes through the annals of crime. Capone wasn't just a gangster, he was a mastermind, turning Chicago into his personal empire. By controlling the flow of illegal alcohol, Capone raked in millions, bribing politicians and police to keep his operations running smoothly. But Capone was just the tip of the iceberg. Across the country, crime syndicates flourished, each vying for control of this lucrative black market. And with that competition came violence. Brutal, bloody violence that played out on the streets and shocked the nation. The infamous St. Valentine's Day Massacre is just one example of how far these gangs would go to protect their turf. But it wasn't just about territory. It was about power. These criminal organizations weren't content with just making money. They wanted control. And as they grew richer, their influence spread, corrupting every level of government. Judges, law enforcement, and even city officials were on their payroll, turning a blind eye to the rampant crime that Prohibition had unleashed. But the real tragedy of Prohibition wasn't just the rise of organized crime. It was the way it corrupted the very fabric of American society. The law, meant to instill discipline and morality, instead bred cynicism and disrespect for authority. People who had never broken a law in their lives suddenly found themselves frequenting speakeasies, buying bootleg liquor, and rubbing shoulders with criminals. The line between right and wrong blurred, and with it, the trust in government and law enforcement. As the years went by, it became painfully clear that Prohibition was doing more harm than good. The very problems it was supposed to solve, crime, poverty, social decay, were getting worse, not better. The black market for alcohol was thriving, but it wasn't just alcohol being sold. Drugs, gambling, prostitution, all these vices found new life in the shadow of Prohibition. And the cost? Thousands of lives were lost to violence, dangerous, unregulated alcohol, in a society teetering on the edge of chaos. By the early 1930s, the tide had turned, the Great Depression had hit, and the American public was desperate for change. Repealing Prohibition wasn't just about legalizing alcohol, it was about restoring sanity to a nation that had been driven to the brink by a failed experiment. In 1933, the 21st Amendment was passed, repealing Prohibition and finally putting an end to this dark chapter in American history. So, what does the story of Prohibition teach us? It's a powerful lesson in how even the best intentions can lead to the worst outcomes. Prohibition was supposed to save America from the grip of alcohol. But instead, it handed the keys to the kingdom over to the criminals. It's a stark reminder that when we try to legislate morality, we must be prepared for the consequences. Because sometimes those consequences are far more dangerous than the problems we set out to solve. If you found this story as fascinating as we did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and hit that subscribe button for more captivating content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.